Searching for a romantic summer getaway? Escape with Rich Girl Summer, the new Audible original from Lily Chu. The exquisitely talented Philippa Soo, returning to narrate her 5th Lily Chu title. This time, Philippa is joined by her real-life husband, Stephen Pasquale. Set in Toronto's wealthy cottage country, aka the Hamptons of Canada, Rich Girl Summer follows the story of Valerie, a down-on-her-luck event planner posing as a socialite's long-lost daughter, while piecing together the secrets surrounding a mysterious family and falling deeper and deeper in love with the impossibly hard-to-read and infuriatingly handsome family assistant, Nico. Caught between pretending to belong and unexpectedly finding where she truly fits in, Valerie learns her summer is about to get far more complicated than she ever planned. She's in over her head and head over heels. Listen to Rich Girl Summer now on Audible. Go to audible.com/richgirlsummer.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is Real Talk, No Strings Attached. The podcast brought to you by the youth of Indianapolis, using this platform and their voice to touch on vital topics they believe impact their communities. Here's the Real Talk team for some real talk, no strings attached.
Are you ready? Because here we go.
Welcome to Real Talk Youth Podcast. To my right, I have my man Trey. How you doing today, Trey?
Doing good. How are you?
All right. And to my far right, I have Miss Deandra. Is it Deandra?
Deandra, yes.
Okay, nice to meet you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Miss Deandra.
You know, that's the toughest question that somebody can say is, tell me about yourself. Where do you want me to start? I am a mom. That is my hardest challenge, but my greatest reward. So I'm a mother of 2, bonus mom of 3, 5 boys, and coincidentally, all their names start with D. They range from 25 to 13. I am also an author. Well, let me go back. I'm a wife as well. I'm an author. I am a life coach, and I am a business owner. And I'm born and raised in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay.
So why did you start My Purpose for My Pain?
Well, I started Purpose for My Pain over 10 years ago. Well, we actually are. This is our 10th year. My son DeAndre, when he was 13 years old, he was at a birthday party having fun, probably trying to get a girl's phone number and all that other good stuff that teenagers do, when somebody started shooting outside and a stray bullet flew through the window of the lady's home and hit my son in the back of his head. He was the only person shot out of about 35 children, and he laid on the ground. Everyone panicked, but there was this mystery young lady that I heard of who took a T-shirt and applied it to the back of my son's skull. And I was told that she said, "I'm from Gary. I see this all the time. I know what to do." Very, very heartbreaking. But I credit her with saving my son's life, even though I've never got to meet her. I heard her parents quickly moved her out of the city. And so she applied pressure to my son's wound while everybody else kind of ran and scattered. And then my friend's daughter came back and she sat there with Dre until the ambulance came. And it was, as you can imagine, a life-changing experience. My oldest child, at that time, he stood about 5'7", 154 pounds. He was just growing into this phenomenal young man. They had labeled him gifted and talented. So we were prepping for, like, which high school was he going to go to? Cathedral, Chautard. Like, he just had this incredible future ahead of him. He loved sports, but he really was just okay at sports. But academically, he was naturally gifted and talented. So it just disrupted our everyday life. And for me as a mother and as a believer, I said, God, you have to show me purpose for so much pain, while my son was in a 5-hour brain surgery. And during that time, just one by one, things started to be revealed over the course of DeAndre's healing process, which is still continuing to this day. And that's where Purpose for My Pain was birthed.
So, first off, that's a very tragic story.
Thank you.
I've never personally, I don't know anybody that's been ever shot in the back of the head, but yeah. I just know that it's probably hurt. Like, what was your emotion? Like, this is probably a bad question, but what is your emotion?
No, good question.
What was your emotion that day?
I chuckle because you learn how to navigate it different, But on any given time, even 10 years later, I can start crying about it. It's very hard. But that day, I thought I was going to lose my mind. Honestly, I took the longest drive to Riley Hospital. I to this day, I'm like, why did I go up Kessler, hop on the highway? I don't know why I did that. But my mind was everywhere. But I didn't know where my son was shot until I got to the hospital doors. So when I got there, I was greeted by a chaplain who so happened was my Sunday school teacher when I was a little girl. And I was on the ground banging on, for some reason, this part of the hospital was locked up. So I was banging, and he comes and picks me up, and he says, I know where your grandmother is. And I'm like, how does he know my grandmother? Then I look up, and it's Chaplain Wally with IMPD. And he used to be my Sunday school teacher. So he took me to my family, and then a police officer met me and said, your son's been shot in the head. Go identify the body. And I collapsed. And my mother comes running up, and she said, don't make my daughter do it. I'll do it. So my son actually died and was resuscitated. So when he told me to identify the body, and Mom came back, I said, what does he mean? Because I didn't know. And they needed me to get there to sign paperwork to initiate resuscitation. But they had to identify that it was him. So my mom went in there and she said, I knew it by Dre's feet. My son had really big feet. He wore 13 in the 7th grade. And she said, I knew it by Dre's feet under the white sheet. And I said, white sheet? They hadn't covered him up, but he had to be resuscitated. And then he came down on a gurney. After we signed that paper, it was like a scene off of ER. And to this day, I hate that hallway at Riley. It's in the new wing. I hate ever having to walk down it, which I still do, because if he gets sick, he's a Riley kid. So they rushed him down the hallway, and I turned my head, and I remember my aunt saying, he doesn't even look like he's been shot, but he has, his head was swollen, and he had wraps and actually this cranial pressure tube sticking out of it to make sure his brain basically wouldn't explode.
Now, how old was your son at this time?
He was 13. He's
How old is he
now?
23. So you've been dealing with this for 10 years.
Yes.
And he's breathing. He's okay.
He's breathing. He is what we call a total care patient. So he is a quadriplegic as a result of a traumatic brain injury. So he is paralyzed from the chest down, and he is not vocal anymore. So he cannot formulate words, but he does smile and he makes noises. Yes.
My next thing I want to ask. So with that happening to him with him at 13, how do you feel about the gun laws that Indiana has just passed as far as like the open carry?
I hate them. That is just giving access for more young people. Because when you think about open carry, and I testified against open carry downtown 2 years before it actually passed. So not taking any credit, but I stood toe to toe with them lawmakers, sharing our story and sharing my passion and supporting other families that it did not pass twice before it actually passed last year or in 2022. But I hate it because what happens is with open carry without a license, right? So some states there's concealed carry. Indiana is open carry. What happens is you can just carry publicly with no kind of license or no checks.
That's scary.
It's very scary. We also in Indiana, so we have the gun show loophole here. You can go to a gun show, purchase a gun, and you don't have to do any background checks or anything. So that's something that on a national level we have been fighting for so long. I don't know why. This is one of the hardest things to get past. But I could walk in there, purchase a gun, and nobody has to do anything about it. No checks.
So what do you feel like, because the city is obviously trying to do a lot, but they can only do so little. And I did interview the prosecutor who's also trying to do a lot, but the prosecutor also can do so little. So what does the state need to do? What needs to happen?
I think it's such a vast question because honestly, gun laws are only a small part of it as well, right? We have an issue in Indiana. I'm going to say Indianapolis with illegal weapons.
Yeah.
So that has been one of the biggest struggles, is how to get illegal weapons off of the street. And I'm going to be honest, I have not found anybody who can give a real answer to that, including myself. But one thing we can say is, if you are a gun owner, be responsible. And I'm never, ever going to be one of those ones that is against the Second Amendment. I support the Second Amendment with responsible gun ownership. So I say that to say, if I'm a gun owner and I want to leave my gun in the car because a restaurant doesn't allow it, don't leave it on your front seat.
Right.
Don't leave it on the floor, because what's happening is people are getting in and breaking them. Same thing in your homes. If you're leaving them out where people can easily possess them, then that's how we are flooding the streets with illegal guns. They're getting stolen.
Right.
So we have an illegal gun issue in Indianapolis. However, having unconstitutional carry is a big part of it too, because what we're doing is we're saying, okay, the people, and then in Indiana it's 18, not 21.
Right.
That's
what's
another big
crazy.
issue. So people with undeveloped brains are able
carrying guns.
to just
That's
carry
crazy.
a gun.
That is crazy.
And people who are 18 are able to buy a gun for people underage.
That's what I was about to say.
Underage get guns.
Not just people underage, but people who are not legally able to purchase their own weapon.
Right.
So an 18-year-old fresh out of high school, no background, nothing going on in their adult background, they can go buy Uncle JJ a gun who's got a 14-page rap sheet.
Or they can buy the 14-year-old little cousin a gun in middle school.
That's scary.
Because actually, there was just a shooting by my twin brother's friend's house. Right around the corner, it was 2 Lawrence Central students, and they had beef for quite some time. And one of the students ended up pulling a gun on another one. In that same neighborhood as well, 2 teenage boys ended up shooting through a window, and they ended up killing somebody's grandma when they were trying to kill somebody else.
So buy the stray bullet. Innocent bystander. I think another question we need to ask is the why. Why does a 14-year-old need to possess a handgun? What is going on in his neighborhood, his home, at school? We need to get to the why. And I don't think any law can penetrate that why. That's a heart issue. That's a home issue. That's an upbringing, a parenting, a school system. It's a community issue.
I just kind of feel like kids that young that's doing killings don't have any good role models in their lives.
Couldn't possibly.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about your organization. What are you doing to help other mothers or things like that to get through this dramatic and tragic experiences?
Well, the one thing I say, we have to love people where they are. When my baby was shot, you would not believe how many people parent bashed me. Oh, he was at a birthday party. It was 11 o'clock. He was 13. And it was a birthday party in a very nice neighborhood.
Right.
You would have never thought that would happen. But we can't... The upbringing we know is a part of it, but we have to meet these mothers and these families where they are. So I just simply love them where they are. I talked to a mother for about an hour yesterday, and I told her, you need to give yourself grace, and I want you to know you're doing an amazing job in spite of the pain and the trauma that you've been through. So just meeting them where they are, and then bringing them into a community. So Saturday, we're getting together. It's June 1st is the kickoff of National Wear Orange Month, where we honor victims of gun violence. So I'm bringing 10 to 12 moms together. We're having brunch downtown on Mass Avenue. And it's just going to be a moment to exhale and just remember their loved ones, but also just a moment to laugh and step away from the grief that they're experiencing. So what Purpose for My Pain has done is create a community of women that's saying, in spite of my pain, I can find purpose. And I just love watching them. Oh, I started this organization, or I do this in honor of my son. I make this in honor of my daughter. Right. And you're watching them flourish in the spite of their pain. So we create community, and we really bring the women together to love on one another. I told the mom yesterday, I said, when you get there, you're going to know you're not crazy.
Right.
Because the first thing the ladies say is, I thought I was crazy till I came here. I thought I was the only one. No matter how many shootings you hear, you still think you're the only one who can't sleep at night. You cry yourself yourself. You can't go to work. You can't work 40 hours a week. You know, you think you're the only one until you get into this space and you're like, oh, there's 20 of me.
Now, let me ask you this. With you going through that and you helping other parents or mothers go through that, have you done therapy for the experience that you encountered?
Yes. I actually reached out to my therapist last week and said, hey, sis, I need to come back. It's a lot. I worked for IMPD for 18 months, and the only focus of my program was to work with injured victims and their families.
Gotcha.
And that was very triggering for me, talking to parents who are watching their child be on an intubator.
Okay.
And one time that was me while I worked there. My son was on life support. I was talking to this dad. His son was on life support. Because you have to know, when people survive to the magnitude that my son did, life doesn't return to normal.
Right.
So we're in the hospital a lot.
Yeah.
We're doing things that I never thought would take place.
It's a lot of compromising.
It's a lot of compromising.
Yeah.
So just, you know, when I was talking to that father, I said, I am right there with you. Like, I'm not just saying that, like, literally, I'm working from my son's hospital bedside, walking you through this journey of what this looks like. And I think his son was either 14 or 17. And I said, well, you know what? I've been going through this since my son was 13. So I know what that looks like to hear somebody say, do you want to pull the plug?
Right.
This last time I told them, don't ask me about pulling a plug. I gave a decision, because they ask you every time you go.
Yeah.
Do you want to pull the plug?
Yeah.
This last time Dre was in the hospital, they said, have you thought about it anymore?
Right.
So it's like they die over and over again.
Yeah.
It's very difficult, but I try to walk parents through it and be very transparent with the pain and not try to sugarcoat it, because it's real when you can't do anything but send up a prayer.
So with this being Real Talk Youth, what advice could you give to the youth of Indianapolis?
There's so much I could say, but the first thing I want to say is love yourself and know yourself. I always say the young man or woman, but I'm pretty sure it was a guy that shot my son, he didn't know what love was. Because if he knew what love was, he would not blindly shoot up a house of his peers. That was a 15-year-old's birthday party.
That's crazy.
So if you really knew what love is, if you knew what it felt for a parent to love you, and if you simply loved who you were and who you were becoming, you wouldn't have made that choice.
Or valuing life.
Just valuing life.
Like, that is crazy.
Yes, like, you have so much to live for. Just keep on going. I understand. It's hard I couldn't imagine being a teenager right now. I just could not. I understand it's hard, but I just keep on living, keep on pressing, create goals, and watch yourself achieve those goals. And all the pain that you're going through right now, you'll look back and say, there was purpose for my pain, literally.
So I think one of the issues we face as teenagers is the lack of hope. I think, like, the lack of hope for society. And I think where there's no hope, we don't think there's any opportunity. Like, there's no job opportunity. There's just no opportunity. So we just lack hope. And I think that's why a lot of people turn to a life of, like, just pick up the gun and start shooting randomly, because, like you said, there's no love anymore. Like, they forgot what love is. They forgot what hope is. So I think restoring hope into society could maybe allow people to drop the guns, and maybe instead of picking up guns, we pick up controllers and play video games.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
Or maybe it's, instead of picking up guns, we pick up a uniform and get to working. Maybe it's because a lot of people, like, because as much as we like to crap on, like, blue collar jobs, which I don't think a lot of people do, but I think a lot of people want to get into welding. I think teaching people blue collar skills like manufacturing and
making it a reality that is there. You know, I have to say this as a mother. Can I ask how old you are?
I'm 60.
As a mother of, 2 black boys and a bonus mom of 3, hearing you say there's no hope, it makes me emotional, because I wonder where we have failed as a society that our babies have no hope. Like, where is that coming from? that you all are feeling hopeless? Are we too busy with working? Are we too caught up in our own stuff that we're missing the mark in instilling hope in our kids? Or is it over sensationalizing things on social media? Social media can be awesome, but it can also paint a false narrative and give you the kind of hope that's not really for you. You know, everybody's not going to be a millionaire, but I'm okay if I can pay my bills, feed my family, and have fun a little bit. But when you see these things glorified on social media, or you see, you know, the kids at school pretending to live a lifestyle they're really not living,
Right.
then you start to feel hopeless because, oh, well, my parents don't drive that car, or I don't drive that car. And I think that goes back to loving yourself and having that confidence in yourself. I may not be there yet, but I can get there. But I really wonder why our babies are feeling so hopeless. Could you expound on? I'm not the interviewer, but why are you guys?
I actually think I think both what you said is correct. I think the first thing what you said, which is parents working a little bit too much, I agree with that. But I feel like it's not the parents' fault. It's more of how we have constructed our economies to the point where you can't work a normal job anymore and still be able to
Maintain or make it.
maintain your home. I feel like because think about it, the minimum wage in the United States is $7.25. Now that's fluctuated from state to state, but at least here in Indiana, the minimum wage is $7.25, which means there's essentially no regulation on how much people are getting paid.
Yeah.
So people are getting paid a lot less, which forced them to work multiple jobs. And then they come home tired, and then all of a sudden the kids feel like, well, my mom or my dad, they're not really they're not really looking at me because they're working too much. And when you don't have active, loving parents in your home consistently, it kind of puts you in a downward spiral and makes you lose hope. So then your parents, they feel sorry, but there's nothing they can do because either they quit working and the money stops flowing, or they keep working just to keep money flowing so they have a roof over their head. But they're missing out on the kids' most precious time. And then I think the second part about social media is, I think social media is playing a huge role because we're seeing a lot of like rappers and influencers and athletes, like John Morant, for example. He's a very professional athlete with a large social media following that a lot of people idolize him. But you know, with all the stuff that he's doing now, people think it's cool, and then they start to do it.
Is he the rapper that was shooting
funny.
people? The basketball player?
Yes, he's
Okay.
the one that shot at the little kids playing in front of his house.
Okay.
So I have something to say. So you talked about parent bashing, right? So how do we help the mothers or parents that know about what their child is doing? You know, whether it be a poor decision, selling drugs, but they look the other way, and they only look the other way because they're bringing in money into the house.
I say shame on you. I'm sorry. Kind of tying in something he said in answering your question, when parents are doing the best they can and they're working, 2 or 3 jobs, there's resources like Voices that have mentors and opportunities. So I think as a community, we need to be more intentional when making sure that families know about these resources, because that's where community comes in. It's no joke when people say it takes a village. It truly does take a village. So if I got to work 2 or 3 jobs and I'm not home because I'm working second shift, what mentoring or support programs can I tap my children into?
Yeah.
For that kind of support.
Yeah.
But if I'm working 2 jobs and little Timmy says, well, I'm just gonna go sit on the block and carry a Glock and whatever else they do, and mom turned, or I'm not gonna say mom, and or the parents turned a blind eye, then shame on them, because there are resources. The city is pouring out money. We got all this grant funding coming into organizations who are trying to do the work. So if you really don't want them out there, at least try to connect them to somewhere they can be. Now, can we always make them come physically, pick them up and drop them off? No, but as a parent, you want to say, I tried. I did everything I could.
But you know what? As I sit here and hear you and Trey talk about, social media, parenting and stuff like that, I'm just going back when I was 14 and 15, and, it was, my mom raised me by herself. Mm-hmm. But I had other people that I looked up to, and they might have done bad things, sell drugs or whatever. I wanted the money, but I didn't want it in the way they was doing it. Mm-hmm. So I think it goes back to, just because you see so-and-so doing something don't necessarily mean you have to fall into that trap. Find you a skill. Since I've been younger, I've been into technology. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's just something I've always done. But I feel like what's missing is the father. And let's just keep it real. A lot of these kids grow up with just their mom. Half of them is not even raised with their mom. They're raised by their grandma. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And you got the father just out here just doing whatever it is he does. And then when he hear his son is in trouble, he might try to, help out. But by then, it's too late. Yeah. And I say that because I'm a father of two boys, 12 and 7. And it's like, me personally, I can't picture me being without them, or them being without me. Like, I just can't. Mm-hmm. They don't see daddy doing nothing bad. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, dad going to work. Dad worked for himself. You know what I mean? Like, being locked up and stuff like that hurt a lot of kids too. Yeah. You know what I mean? So when they see that their father is doing that, and then, you got people in your family, believe it or not, oh, you're going to be just like your dad, They don't know that kids really take that into consideration. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm going to be like my dad. Oh, my dad was a drug dealer. Well, guess the only thing I could do is sell drugs.
They said I was you know what
I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I just feel like we missing the fathers in all of this.
I couldn't agree with that.
If we had more dads in the homes, everything would be okay, I feel like. Or it wouldn't be as bad as it is now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? My father wasn't even in my life like that, but I knew of him. Yeah. I still didn't want to do bad things. Right. You know what I mean?
Father or father figures?
Either or.
Yeah.
Either
or. Figure. And the men that have that capability and ability, I feel like they need to make themselves more available instead of saying that's not my problem.
Right.
Or I don't live in 46226, so I don't have to deal with that.
Ain't my son, or it ain't my little cousin or brother.
They're the ones when they see it on the news, they're shaking their head, or they might donate $25 to a GoFundMe to help bury. But I think it's at a point now we need to all look at ourselves in the mirror and say, what part can I play?
Right. What can we do to help? There's so many
levels to this. And I'm like you, men step up. Me and my brother did not have our father, but we had a very present grandfather who was so dope and so amazing until the day he took his last breath. And my brother will tell everybody, with the help of my mom, that was his driving force to never have been to jail. Yeah. My brother is an excellent father, so, but he had that role model. So even when it's not the biological father, getting more men to step up in the community and say, hey, I got 5 hours a week. How can I use it?
How can I help? Yeah. And that's good, because I'll be 35 in August. I can't tell you what jail look like or smell like.
Keep it that way.
Listen, because ain't no way. I value life way too much, and I have kids that need me.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And if we had more father figures in these kids' life, I don't think it'd be that bad.
Yeah, it would be better. So maybe we need to do a call out. Y'all need volunteers?
Yeah. We should do that.
Men. We need some men stepping up. I did a panel at my church a couple months ago, and Pastor Malachi Walker was on there from Young Men Incorporated. And he said, what I would like to see at the end of my summer camp is every young man walk away with a mentor. He said, but it's hard to get that. Yeah. He said, we only have them for 6 weeks. What happens when we send them back into some very tough environments and they have no figure? And he said, I can't handle them all. And I know he tries, but because my son, before he was shot, he was in YMI. And after camp, Pastor Mal picked my son up. He had him on that bus. They were doing stuff, but it was only so many young men he could do that for by himself. So we need a call out.
Yeah. And then even when it comes to to the young men and women, like, you just have to be strong-willed too. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, if I know I was just in a program for 6 weeks that's helping me become a better person, and I get dropped back off into my same environment, something's going to change.
Yeah.
Rather that be me not hanging out as much as I used to, or me trying to do other things.
Yeah.
Back when I was 14, 15, 16, I worked. We had fun. I used to know where all my friends at because you will see all the bikes in the yard.
Yeah.
Or everybody would be at the park. You know, I just think, and then again, it's really not too much things that these kids can do nowadays. You know what I mean? We don't have no centers that's teaching them different things. Yeah. You know, we don't have any, good role models, you know what I mean, that could, pass information down to. It's just a lot. But we definitely need to change the narrative. So that it's getting out of hand.
Biggest resource we need is human resource.
Yeah.
We really need community. We need people to come and support, the work of Purpose for My Pain and support the work of Voices and New Boy. Like, all of us need help. Like,
right.
I can't. People always say, well, why you don't have a grief group for fathers? I'm not a man.
Yeah.
And in 10 years, I have never gotten a man to stand up and say, I'm going to lead a grief group. I've asked, I've outreached. It's never, literally, it's never happened. Nobody has said, well, I'm going to, join Purpose for My Pain and support these fathers who are going through this, or these male siblings that are going through this who've lost their brothers. Nobody's ever stood up. So, I mean, we need that kind of support. We're doing what we can, but it's so much more of an impact. And like you said, I think we would see numbers decrease if we just seen people come
and we're going to get the
more.
Resources we need once they hear this.
Yes. We need you. So Leah's going to have a sign up on her website for volunteers.
So I want to ask you this question. Uh-huh. So we kind of see in the Black, at least this is kind of only a problem in the Black community. Because think about it, in the Latino/Hispanic community, the father is typically the hardest working person in the household. That's true. And the mother is typically also the hardest working person in the household. So they got two hard working parents bringing all the money, and those are very stable households. Again, you have, in white households, you have the man typically making the money and the women and the wife and the mom keeping it up. So, but again, that still creates a very stable household. Even in the Asian community, you have the mom, making a lot of money, the dad also making a lot of money, again, creating a very stable household. So in all those different ethnicities, you have the mom and the dad both making a collaborative effort to be in their children's lives. But apparently in the Black community, we're starting to see less and less and less the two parents be involved in the kids' lives, and typically it's always the dad leaves the kid's life and the mom starts to leave the kid's life, and now you have the child just stuck in the middle thinking he doesn't have any role models but the local gang member on his block. So why is that?
That's a whole nother show.
Because they looking for love.
All I keep hearing is,
they're looking for love.
They're looking for love, but systematically, years ago, things were set up and designed for that.
Of course.
And we've taken that on so much as a culture, and no one has been a culture changer on a mass scale with these systematic issues. Getting into, me and my husband just had this conversation this morning about fathers being yanked from the home.
Yeah.
Like, we're mentoring and working with a young man now who is sleeping in his car because of what our community has taken on, baby mama drama, and so now he's homeless and without a job because of issues. And so we have to, it's both sides, because the fathers leave the home. Why are they leaving the home? On some ways, it's been made easy, but on other ways, sometimes women, we make it a little hard. I'm just being honest. So we have to understand that it's a two-factor thing, but it was set up many, many years ago as systematic, and we're still biting it. We are literally still biting at the systematic issues that want us to be separated because they know how powerful we are if we remain together.
And the reason being is because we talked about this on our recent episode of my podcast, the trap that was set out many years ago. Yep. And it's sad because we fall into the trap. of the drug dealing.
That's it.
Of the killing. These are all the things they put in place, and we're not. I ain't gonna say we ain't smart enough, because we smart. We just go the route we feel like is the most easiest. Don't nobody want to work hard anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, don't nobody want to fight for the relationship or fight to be with the mother. And then, don't get me wrong, sometimes it just don't work. Mm-hmm. But just because it don't work don't mean you have to be away from the child. Man. You know what I'm saying?
There's so much with that.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I've went through it with my daughter mom. You know what I mean? My daughter's not even in my life. She know I exist. She knows I'm alive.
Yeah.
But she's not in my life.
Yeah.
Due to the reason of her mother.
Yeah.
Now, if I was one of them fathers that didn't want to be there, oh, it'd be easy then. Come get your child.
Oh, yeah.
But the fact that you know I want to be there, you're making it hard for me.
Yeah.
So I definitely get that.
That's
but
what I'm saying with the women sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel like the more that we blame fathers, it puts more of a heavy weight on them. So we have to really be careful as society balancing out. What's the why? Why did daddy leave?
Right.
What factors were in place to help him come back? Mm-hmm. But something you said that I think is so profound is we want everything fast, quick, and easy.
Yeah.
Oh, that relationship don't work. Guess what? I'm going social media, Facebook dating, or I can just drop in somebody's DM and find my next baby daddy,
else.
my next husband, my next side piece.
And that's a cycle.
It's a cycle.
And you keep doing that, you ain't going to find no good role model.
Guess what? It's not just a cycle. It's being glamorized.
Yeah.
So if I can see it on TV and the reality shows, then it's like, oh, well, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's intriguing.
Yeah.
And then we keep biting.
Yeah.
You said, like, oh, yeah, I want to be an Atlanta housewife.
Yeah.
All of them are divorced, y'all.
Listen.
They was once a wife, they're no longer a wife. That's why
they on TV talking about it.
But people don't look at that deeper, the meaning and what's being put out there. So what you said, Trey, is so true. We're seeing in our community, the fathers are leaving. Mm-hmm. But we need to dig deeper. Why are these fathers leaving? And a lot of that, you know what it is? It's reoccurring trauma. My daddy did it. That's what you hear all the time. My father did it. My granddaddy did it. I watched my granddaddy just walk out and have 6 kids down the street. You hear that stuff and it's like, okay, so who's gonna be the cycle breaker? You know, and I know that's a lot of responsibility put on the shoulders of young people, but at some point somebody has to decide, okay, that happened. Okay, it did. I'm not taking that from you. But what is going to be your purpose for the pain behind it? See, it's the name of my organization, but it's a lifestyle that I literally have walked out. And I hope that it becomes contagious on people that are around me. Like, my purpose, my pain is different from yours, but we all got it. One thing's for sure, we're all going to go through pain. What are we going to do with it? Yeah. I'm
looking at something that was sent to me. It was a study on race and culture. Mm-hmm. It says black dads more involved in activities with their children than other groups. According to the CDC, black fathers were most likely to have been involved in activities with their children compared with white and Hispanic fathers. This is as of January 17th, 2024.
Nobody's posting that on their social media page.
Right.
Nobody. That should go viral. Because I see it. I see it with my own husband. Yeah. You know, I see it.
And again, we're not bashing black fathers or anything like that, but some of us can be better. Mm-hmm. And some of us do our due diligence when it comes to our kids. Yeah.
And if you're struggling with being better, reach out. Yeah. See if what resources and support can help you.
Because there's people that can get you, make you better or get you better.
There's assistance out there. I know somewhere Purpose for My Pain may not have a support group for men, but there's somebody supporting our brothers out here. There's somebody, so you got to reach out with that willingness.
I do know somebody. Shout out to Antonio Patton. I don't know if you guys know. Well, Kia knows him. Yeah, Antonio does really good. Yeah. With the kids.
Yeah, and uplifting men.
Yeah. He does real good.
Because every kid that's being poured into, they're going to be an adult one day. I think a lot of times with the mentoring programs, we forget them when they turn 18. Oh, they grown, they can figure it out, and they still struggle. And the resources decline because, you're a man, you got to figure it out.
Yeah, and then they become dads.
And then
it's like,
But they become dads that didn't have a role model. So
Right.
Still trying
so
to
he's
figure
still
this
trying
out.
to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, so we just gotta meet people where they are and love them where they are.
Okay.
And I'm glad that study was shown, but I do feel like I know when it comes to my dad, like he makes sure that if we can't, like he'll try his hardest, even though he does work a lot. He does like involve himself with activities with us. He does do stuff with us, so that stuff does happen. I'm glad it does, but like Mike said, I think that dads can do a lot better in terms of involving themselves. I don't think a lot of dads understand the impact of going to the gym 15 minutes with your dad, what that does, or just taking 20 minutes out your day to go eat dinner
That's good.
downtown or something, like going to a sporting event or something. Like that stuff actually matters. And I think a lot of people have kind of gotten away with that. And to your point, we are running out of stuff to do. And we got to figure out how to get stuff to do. And also, I kind of just wanted to touch on to a little point on why a lot of black fathers are still leaving the home. Is a lot of it, now some of it's by choice, but a lot of it is by force. And I blame a lot of it due to the war on drugs back in the 70s. War on drugs was basically, well, you guys probably know what it is, but it was basically something implemented by the Reagan administration, no, not the Reagan, the Nixon administration to quote unquote get drugs off the streets. But study after study found out that the war on drugs was mainly just the war on drugs was mainly just supposed to be a way to target black and brown families and to target black and brown men. So time and time again, drugs were getting off the street, but our incarceration rate was way higher. So it's kind of coincidental that the drug rate in America spiked in the 70s, highest as it's ever been, and now our jails are full of capacity to the point where we just had to build a new Marion County jail.
Yeah.
Because our jail was not only full, but it was getting ran down because of how many people were in there.
Yeah.
And the amount of people in a place caused your infrastructure to be used more,
Absolutely.
which is why we had to literally build a new jail, which, of course, is going to be funded by taxpayers.
Cost a lot of money.
So instead of using our money to go towards other projects, it went towards a new correctional facility. And it's a kind of a shame that we have one, but let's just be real. We shouldn't have a juvenile detention center. Like we shouldn't have that, but we do. And a lot of people think, oh, it's just a place where juveniles can go and they can hold themselves. Like, not really. It's really just jail for youth. That's really what it is. It's really jail for youth.
Yeah.
And my mom worked in the juvenile detention center, and all she said after she got done working from there was, it was miserable, kids were miserable, parents were miserable, nobody liked it there, it was horrible, it was small, and it served the youth no good.
Yeah.
So why are we spending money on a detention center when we could have a treatment center, a treatment facility? Because, yeah, they're young and they made a mistake, but your teenage years is when you can correct yourself and re-educate yourself.
Yeah, that's
You
good.
can't really do that as an adult. So
I feel like you need to be somebody's mentor. You are smart and you've done your research and your work. And I want to commend you too for shouting out your dad. Like my dad, he's doing the best he can with what time he has. And as you were talking, I said, you need to make a PSA about, hey, fathers, we need a little bit more of your time. Because if you're feeling it, other 16-year-old young men are feeling it. Like, I need 20 more minutes of your time, Dad, a week. So I commend you for sharing that part, because that's incredibly important. And a lot of other young men are probably feeling that way.
So I'll end this off on a very good note. What do you think? I'll kind of go back to the beginning. What do you think needs to be done in the community, state house, What do you think needs to be done?
I think we need to make sure that we're elevating our voices, becoming advocates on these issues. Don't sit silent. I know people say my vote doesn't matter. Okay, I'm not going to go force you to vote. But what I would like for you to do is elevate your voice, advocate, share some positive vibes on your social media, become a mentor, make yourself available to the young people in your community. And maybe bit by bit, little by little, we can watch our communities transform. My favorite thing to say is one of my favorite songs is Michael Jackson's song. I'm looking at the man in the mirror, asking him how he can change his ways. And
I love that song.
Yes, me too. It's like a personal anthem. What can I do? Okay, if people say my vote doesn't matter, fine. What can you do for little Johnny next door? What are you pouring into your home? Like, we all can do something to make our community a better place, but it starts by looking at the man in the mirror.
So, Ms. Dykes, where can people find you?
They can find me. I am on Facebook under DeAndre Yates, and I have also Purpose for My Pain on Facebook. Instagram, we're Purpose for My Pain Indy, and that's with the number 4. And we have a website, www.purposeformypain.org, or you can find me at amotherspromisehcs.com. That is my for-profit business. And thank you so much, Trey, for having me. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
I don't think so. We've covered a lot. It was very good.
All right.
Thank
you for being here.
Absolutely.
This is Real Talk. No strings attached. Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast. And be sure to check out other great podcasts on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Online now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.